Good evening, I'm Amanda Decker. We begin with a scary incident on a college campus no stranger to violence. Virginia Tech was put on lockdown after some teens attending a camp say they saw a man who appeared to have a gun on campus. Students were sent an alert about the possible gunman and then told to lock their doors. After some time had passed without finding a gunman, police downplayed things.
Please keep in mind the report was someone carrying a weapon, not that they pointed the weapon or threatened anyone, just that they were carrying a weapon. That was the report.
A gunman was never found during today's incident. But for those on campus, it was a case of better safe than sorry. Virginia Tech was the scene of one of the worst shooting rampages in U.S. history. On April 16, 2007, student Seung-Hui Cho shot and killed 32 students and faculty and then took his own life. 25 others were hurt in that incident. Virginia Tech was criticized for not giving students enough warning during the rampage, and the school immediately changed procedures after that happened. From a rain-soaked tropical storm churning in the Gulf to extreme heat across the South, we have a lot of wicked weather to talk about today. We begin with the latest on Tropical Storm Emily. Take a look at this video out of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico did not take a direct hit from the storm, but Tropical Storm Emily still dumped plenty of rain on the area. Cars drove through the flooded roads, some barely making it at times. The storm downed power lines, damaged homes, and caused mudslides. And in Haiti today, Emily caused flooding and damage to hundreds of homes there as well. The storm was nearly stationary off the coast of Hispaniola, but forecasters expect it to head north-northwest throughout the day today. The storm is likely to cross eastern Cuba on Friday and might touch Florida by Saturday, though the storm's projected track would keep it offshore. Now to the oppressive heat dome that's baking 165 million Americans today. Triple-digit temps all across the South, and in Georgia, tragedy struck this week. Two young football players, Forrest Jones and DJ Searcy, both died from heat exposure. 16-year-old Jones collapsed just moments after practice.
He's such a great kid.
It's just not going to be the same without Searcy.
In Dallas, Texas, they're on day 34 of triple-digit heat. At one exotic animal park north of Dallas, they have resorted to spraying down the parrots. Forecasters say daytime highs won't dip below the 100 mark in many parts of the South for at least another week. Now to the salmonella scare spreading all across the country. Cargill Meat Solutions Corporation is now voluntarily recalling about 36 million pounds of ground turkey. Look for P963 on the label if you have that in your home. At least one person has died, 79 others have gotten sick in 26 states all across the country.
They share the exact same strain of Salmonella, which is called Salmonella Heidelberg. There are many strains of Salmonella. This one is very dangerous because it is resistant to antibiotics.
Doctors say to cook your meat to at least 165 degrees and all the way through to kill the organism. Also wash your hands after handling any type of poultry. There's a new national debate brewing now. It's a stalemate in Congress over Federal Aviation Administration funding. The debate has shuttered parts of the agency since July 23rd. Thousands of airport jobs are currently on furlough. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says this new crisis is getting worse every day because airline tax revenue is simply not coming in.
And the airlines, how about that? About $1 million a day they're taking money that belongs to the federal government.
It could add up to $1 billion loss by the month of September. At issue is employee unionization and rural airport funding. As Nana Okawa from our Reno affiliate KRXI reports, vital construction projects and jobs may come to a halt at the Reno-Tahoe Airport.
Literally, this is how the Washington battle over the budget has come home to roost right here in northern Nevada.
In Reno, $9.3 million in projects and 350 construction jobs have a rocky future.
With this stalemate, this is just one of the projects at the Reno-Tahoe International Airport that's in jeopardy.
The one behind us could be threatened with closure if we can't get money flowing from the FAA. We have other projects, from a taxiway extension to more ramp projects to a new building we're going to build for snow removal equipment, and even other projects that are now threatened without the funding behind it. So this is really a tough blow, not only for our airport, but for our community.
If funding stops, the airport could be left with a gaping hole in the middle of the ramp, and there may be more problems on the horizon if the crisis doesn't end soon.
We're reassessing discussing other bigger projects that we were taking a look at, like a centralized security checkpoint, which would be new security checkpoints here at Reno Tahoe International, a baggage claim project that we have on the books that we're looking forward to.
Officials say the airport is the lifeblood of Reno, and any lost confidence in safety or security here could be a long-term economic problem for all of us. Nana Okawa reporting for INN News.
We may have to wait another day to find out if Casey Anthony will surface. A judge is going to hold an emergency hearing tomorrow to decide if she must serve her one-year probation in Florida for a check fraud conviction. She was supposed to appear in court earlier this morning. Anthony's attorneys say her return to the state would put their client in, quote, great peril. Time for global news now. Hungry, thirsty, and dying, Somalis are walking thousands of miles to get food in relief camps. The country is struggling with severe drought and famine conditions, and now the United Nations declared a famine in 3 more regions of Somalia. Relief efforts have been hindered by the ongoing battle between Islamist rebels and Somalia's transitional government. Meanwhile, the UN is asking the Syrian government to end the violence in that country. It condemns the crackdown on protesters looking for a change in government. And Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the situation is brutally shocking. The death toll in the country has crossed 2,000 people since the uprising began in March. Japan will fire 3 top nuclear officials because of their handling of the Fukushima Daiichi crisis. Public confidence in the country's nuclear policy was eroded following the disaster. The Fukushima plant was flooded by the tsunami triggered by the March 11th earthquake. It was the worst nuclear accident since the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Meanwhile, a festival featuring clusters of lanterns on high bamboo poles has begun in northern Japan. The summer festival is held to pray for a rich harvest and is said to date back more than 200 years. The bamboo and the lanterns represent the ears of rice plants. The festival runs through Saturday. And that's your global news now. Officials say heavy rain might have caused a crash involving an Alachua County police sergeant. Take a look at this newly released dashboard video from near Gainesville, Florida. You can see a driver slamming into the sergeant's patrol car. The impact was so intense it sent the car spinning, missing the officer by just a few feet. Denise Toussaint from our Gainesville, Florida affiliate GTN has this story.
10 feet away from death.
The rear wheel, if you look at it, it should be facing this way. It's twisted, cockeyed over to the side. He was lucky he wasn't in the car.
This is what's left of a sergeant's patrol car after being rear-ended by another vehicle.
He was off the side of the roadway interacting with that person in that single vehicle crash, and he was returning to his vehicle. When he was about 10 feet away from that vehicle, another single vehicle lost control and collided with the rear end of Sergeant Ulrich's vehicle.
The car completely totaled. In this dashboard video, a driver is seen ramming into the patrol car, making it spin and missing the sergeant by just a few feet, also causing well over $20,000 in damage.
He was so close to the vehicle at the time it impacted, and he's very lucky that the vehicle didn't spin around and impact him as well.
Fleet staff are gathering what's left.
This is some of the ammunition that was in the trunk.
And scraping off any sheriff's office decals before the car is taken to the junkyard.
About 80% of the items in the patrol vehicle were destroyed, including this fingerprinting box, but luckily Sergeant Ulrich came out without a scratch.
A lot of the items that were still in the vehicle were so heavily damaged from the impact that he'll have to be issued new gear. We're very thankful that he was not inside at the time, otherwise we could have easily lost him.
The driver and passenger of the other car were not seriously hurt, but officials say there's a lesson to be learned here. Move over when you see a stopped patrol car. Denise Toussaint reporting for INN News.
Troopers say yesterday's rain may have been to blame for that accident. Some sad news out of the world of football today. Charles Aaron Bubba Smith died yesterday. Bubba Smith was the #1 overall draft pick in the 1967 NFL draft. He played for the Baltimore Colts, the Raiders, and the Oilers. He later found fame as an actor, playing Moses Hightower in the Police Academy films. Officials say Smith died of natural causes. He was 66. President Barack Obama hits a milestone today. He turned 50.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Jennifer Hudson sang happy birthday to the president in Chicago at a birthday-themed fundraiser last night. The president also joked that today he will have letters from the AARP telling him to call President Obama to ask him to protect Medicare. Toilet paper, cat food, New Kids on the Block concert tickets. Yep, you can now get just about anything at Walmart. Who the retail giant is teaming up with now coming up. And his stage is a construction site, and he's drawing more and more fans every day. We'll meet the 2nd Avenue Sinatra coming up later on INN.
Thanks for tuning in to INN Weather. I'm meteorologist Ed Russo. Starting off with Tropical Storm Emily, you can see during just the last couple of hours, we are starting to see the interaction of the mountains of Haiti causing problems with Emily. You can see all of the convection near the center starting to die out a little bit. That's because the mountainous terrain of western Hispaniola is really ripping the system apart. But it is going to move more to the northwest, go back out over open water, and then strengthen into possibly a more intense tropical storm. It could actually even become a depression depending on how much or how long it's over Haiti. Right now, it's just to the south. The center is now moving over parts of the country. And look at that hard northwest, then north turn right when it gets east of West Palm Beach, Florida. That's when it starts to go more to the north and then to the east and actually strengthens as a Category 1 hurricane as it moves off into the North Atlantic, eventually going to become an extratropical system and weaken. But the biggest threat, certainly the gusty winds and heavy rain bands that could come ashore across the east coast of Florida, maybe even Georgia and South Carolina as well. But I think the biggest threat is definitely going to be the very, very large surf that's going to be happening all the way from South Florida up through the Jersey Shore, Long Island, and even parts of New England. We'll be seeing some pretty big surf from this system. Back home, though, we are still seeing excessive heat from the Central Plains south through the southern Mississippi Valley. We're seeing the heat index upwards of 120 degrees across a few areas. Little Rock, Arkansas yesterday reached a high of 114 degrees. That is their all-time record high. So that's the kind of heat we are dealing with, and we're not seeing too many showers and storms to cool people down, but we are seeing some more storms across Alabama and Mississippi starting to fire, as well as Georgia. Severe thunderstorm watch box for parts of Missouri. And then across the Sunshine State, more thunderstorms are flaring across parts of South Florida. Pretty dry across much of the Northeast, but we are seeing some showers across central Maine all the way to the coast. Texas is looking pretty dry, and the middle part of the country dry as well, but the core of the heat finally shifting off towards the south, and the northern plains dry as well, with the exception for a few showers moving across central North Dakota. And we are also seeing pretty randomly placed showers all across the Intermountain West from Idaho southward through parts of Utah and Colorado as well. And the Four Corners region definitely seeing some very heavy showers, especially east central Colorado, where we do have a flash flood watch that is currently in effect, and it's been in effect for the past couple of days because of the very heavy rainfall that could fall in a short period of time. Severe weather risk today across Montana and North Dakota, also the eastern part of the Rockies, also the southern Mississippi Valley into the southeast as well. Same story for tomorrow for places from Mississippi to Georgia. Strong thunderstorms, the northern plains as well as Montana and Wyoming, and then the upper Mississippi Valley as we go through the day on Saturday. Overnight lows 83 or 81 in Little Rock, still very, very warm. And then the rest of the country tomorrow, pretty hot, especially across Oklahoma and Texas. Amanda?
July is turning out to be not so hot when it comes to the jobs market, and some employers taking drastic measures to meet payroll. Ryan Bass has that in tonight's Back to Business.
More bad news for the economy. Jobs cut unexpectedly surged last month. In July, planned layoffs hit 66,000, a 16-month high. The bulk of the layoffs came from the private sector. Cuts from Merck, Borders, Cisco, Lockheed Martin, and Boston Scientific accounted for more than half of the month's total. The recession is bringing pawn shops a new kind of customer, small business owners. They are turning items of value such as gold, jewelry, or electronics into cash, often to help pay employees and cover bills. Many of the business owners turning to pawn shops say it's easier and faster than dealing with banks to get loans. Financial experts advise this method is good in a pinch, but pawn shop loans are often too expensive to maintain long term. concert goers and sports fans will soon be able to pick up tickets at their local Walmart. The retail giant has paired up with Ticketmaster and plans to install touchscreen ticket kiosks in its stores. Shoppers will be able to search for available tickets to concerts and many other events. After selecting the event, a sales associate will help you complete the transaction and print the ticket.
The service will be available by August 15th. For Back to Business, I'm Ryan Bass.
Celebrity chef Curtis Stone knows a thing or two about what's hot and happening in the world of food and travel. Now he's working on a project with Hotel Indigo that helps viewers tap their inner foodie while traveling this summer. Through this new partnership, viewers can go online, recommend their favorite local restaurant, and have the chance to win a trip to New York. Curtis Stone explains.
What they're doing right now is this incredible promotion where you can log on to their Facebook page and you can win a trip for two, a VIP trip for two to New York, which is pretty unbelievable. What you have to do is dish on your favorite dish. So that can be anything from your local neighborhood. It could be from a restaurant, it could be something that you cook at home.
If you'd like more information on how to participate, visit facebook.com/Hotel Indigo. You've researched them, you've picked out the safest car seat for your child, but next we'll tell you why that carefully selected seat might still be dangerous. A warning for parents when INN returns. We strap children into car seats to keep them safe on the road, but a new report finds that some contain hazardous chemicals that may be harmful to kids' health. Nanette Sosa has more in today's Health Minute.
More than half of the 2011 models of children's car seats contain one or more hazardous chemicals, according to a new report, but they fared far better than in previous years. HealthyStuff.org, a project of the environmental nonprofit The Ecology Center, found chemicals of concern in 60% of the more than 150 seats tested, including brominated flame retardants, arsenic, lead, and other heavy metals. They then ranked the best and worst seats based on how many hazardous chemicals they contained. Even so, they found that overall, things have gotten better in terms of toxicity levels since 2008, when the group first started its research. There's been a 64% improvement in car seat ranking. HealthyStuff.org picked the chemicals of concern based on studies showing links to reproductive problems, developmental and learning disabilities, hormone imbalances, and cancer. The group did not test to see whether any of the chemicals were coming out of the product and potentially exposing children. The findings also have no bearing on how well these seats perform in a car accident.
For a complete list of the most toxic and least toxic car seats, you can check out healthystuff.org. Are you in a blind bind? Dee Armstrong is back to help with another quick fix. Stick around for that next on INN. If you're tired of the same old look in your kitchen, changing things up can be pretty simple actually. And tonight's Fixing It with Dee Armstrong shows us that changing your blinds is so simple you can do it yourself.
You don't need much to get started at all. A tape measure, a hammer, a screwdriver, and if you don't want to screw by hand, an electric drill. One of the biggest reasons people don't like to do their own blinds is they're afraid they might take bad measurements. And here's what you do. Take 3 measurements, the top, the middle, and the bottom, because they could be different, and you use the smallest measurement. That way you're safe. And the other reason people don't like putting up their own blinds is you're working over your head. It can be pretty uncomfortable. But what you do is make sure that you have something to stand on, something sturdy, a good ladder, or I like a crate that is able to hold my weight and is very steady. And that takes care of it. And now I'm working kind of right in front of me. Once you've measured and you know where your bracket is supposed to be, the easiest way to put it in is to use a nail and use a starter hole. Just take the nail, tap it with a hammer, and you have a starter hole. I've already done that. I have my screw, and you just screw it in. And there you go. It is just that simple. When you install it, already have it in this position. You just slide both sides into the brackets. Close the bracket covers. And in a couple of minutes, lovely, lovely blinds. It really doesn't take a lot of effort. A lot of the mystery is out of it, and that will fix it.
I'm Dee Armstrong reporting.
What happened in Monterey when the moon...
It's not something you expect to see at a construction site. A Sinatra-style crooner entertaining New Yorkers. Coming up, how this hard hat has become such a big hit. Gary Russo's stage isn't Carnegie Hall. It's a construction site on New York's 2nd Avenue where a subway line is being built. And those aren't backup singers. They're the guys who dig the tunnel with him. While other guys eat lunch during their lunch break, Gary decided he would drag out a microphone and a sound system and he would sing. Here's how his buddies reacted.
They loved it from the first time. You know, tough guys are going, well, you're going to sing at lunch? I was like, yeah.
I want to be just like him when I grow up. I'm not going to lie to you. This guy's a real class act.
Until now, Gary's singing has been mostly confined to karaoke and the shower. He says he just wants to make folks walking by smile. From all of us here at INN, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.